a wonderful profile of a page which has a lot of Rumi stories in illustration format.
Oh, thank you.
Please
Good,
look
good.
at it, it's beautiful.
Hey, thank you. I will check it. Yes, as soon as I will finish. Yes, thank you.
Perfect. We are live. It's Monday evening. We are working with the book, The Practical Work on Self. It's our first time meeting today. So let's see how that goes. I'll share my screen here. Let me know if you guys can see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so David, you're gonna have to guide us along to our first time here.
Well, did anybody have a chance to? I know Bernie said he did, and Nikhil, did you? Or were you able to read the chapter? Alka, Swati,
Yes. I was able to read the chapter.
wonderful.
I did up to 16 pages.
Yeah, so my thing is up to 16 is was very easy, but then there were so many external things that were coming in the picture. No, till 14. And then, but I finished it yesterday.
You know, I realized that I never was able to read the chapter in one sitting. And I don't think it's the point of finishing it in one sitting, but it's just I had to take a lot of breaks in between,
Sure.
especially when it came to the attention sizer exercise. I just stopped reading and went straight to the attention sizer exercise and just paid attention to what the chapter was describing and all that stuff. So the reading required a lot of breaks, at least for me.
Sure.
So for me, if are we already sharing our experiences of the reading or
Yeah, we're trying to determine to understand what did it say? What did chapter ones mean? Say. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, well, uh, I think it's kind of divided into certain parts where, in the beginning part of the chapter, it talks about gathering evidence and finding out whether the machine is asleep. And then in the second part, I think it talks about the transference of the head brain and the tail brain and the uh, details of it on how to observe the machine.
Why are we gathering data?
to first understand that we are asleep or dead, and then understand the urgency of waking up.
Yeah. I mean, the first part of it, he's talking about this is not an intellectual discussion. In order to understand that the machine is asleep, the question is, how do you gather actual data? Right now we theoretically say, oh yeah, the machine's asleep. But in a certain way, we don't really mean it.
I actually gathered one piece of data, like a very stark evidence, yesterday. Can I share it?
Sure, yeah.
Please, please.
So I was in the cab in the morning towards my office. And I was like, oh shit, tomorrow is the meeting. Now is the time you have to read it. So I start reading, and it's beautiful. And I come to a point where it says that nature does not, ordinary affairs don't scare nature, right? And then there was a point about how the identification of with self creates a false sense of continuity uh, and identity. That, Alka is this, Alka is that, and all of those things. And for a second, I tried to separate that who is reading this,
Okay.
and
Right.
yeah, and I felt for a very microsecond a distancing wherein I was able to see that I am not reading, it is something that's reading through me, you know.
Mm.
And I was kind of happy to allow that space that, allowed that kind of reading. So from that, and then identification with the machine, that point kind of stayed with me for some time. But by the time it was lunchtime at office, I was completely identified, and I was angry at people and screaming at people. All those sorts of things were happening. So yeah. So
Yeah.
everything that I gathered in the morning, by the end of the day, it was all turned upside down.
Except in this chapter, in a sense, he's offering us hope. And the hope is if you can see your sleep, have actual evidence of your sleep, that's the beginning of transformation. It's not pushing through this feeling of the infinite. I feel the infinite, I feel the infinite. Da, 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 da.
No, not that. But I was like that I'm gonna exercise, practicing, not identifying with this character through my day to day.
Mm.
And it stayed for like 1 hour, maybe maximum, with great difficulty. And after that, that memory completely faded, like it never existed.
Okay.
In my experience, I find that whenever something like that happens, like when you experience the detachment or whatever, and then the machine goes back to sleep, I think it kind of doubles down when when it goes back to sleep, and uh, kind of it would be the identification would be stronger after the period of wakefulness. I guess it's just a defense mechanism.
So
Uh,
identification with not being identified. I don't know.
Identification with the sleep of the machine.
I don't know. I was very disappointed with myself by the end of it. Because even the when I was reading the things about the head brain and tail brain reversing, and that's when the emotion center and your ability to really feel anything, I was able to relate with that thought, specifically yesterday at my workplace, because we're
Mm.
going through a lot at work. There is an event and we were up till like 2 a.m. with, client who doesn't know anything and they're so stupid, and we're still up and doing nothing. Like the whole 5 6 hours were a waste. And I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I up? I have told them that I am not a I'm a morning person. Why am I up? But then there was this another colleague, right? So my actual thing was being led by doing the right thing, which is standing by with my colleague. And I was reading the book, the remaining pages simultaneously. Like I was
Mm.
reading that in between, jumping off, and I was like, wow, what is this? But yeah, uh, many things. One is that the pressure, from chapter one, I'm feeling the pressure mounting up. Um, um, Second is that how to describe it? And a third thing that struck me is the continuity, like unrelentless effort, restfulness. How do you accommodate restfulness in this kind of
Restfulness.
yes? How do you no, actually no, I know the answers. I don't even know what I'm just sleep deprived. Please forgive me.
Okay, that's okay.
So, when I was reading this chapter, the uh, uh, the exercise from HPM came to mind when we had the gathering of evidence, exhibit A, B, and C.
Yeah,
Uh, so I kind of remembered that while reading through the exercise, and I just went back through, the evidence because there is so much information in there. Uh,
okay. So
so I
this,
was thinking, sorry to take you up, but I was thinking this week's exercise is going to be a lot like that month that I had spent uh, in gathering evidence of different exhibits.
okay,
Another thing, yeah, so the will of attention and the will to awaken the machine, and then these two things, how they are kind of important. I'm just speaking out everything that's coming to my mind.
sure, that's okay, that's good,
Yeah.
very helpful. I mean, hmm. So this is not working very well, is it?
What
It's not
is?
working very well.
Well,
What,
we're not getting we're not having vibrant conversations about the chapter. Um,
David, what I will say is for me, reading in advance before coming to the reading class, I think worked best for me because before, I would say that I was never that much attentive and ready, or I will say I did not do my homework before. But today, in the I was in middle of lot of busy schedule, but I still took time out to read and read genuinely that if I'm spending 1 hour, I should get something out of it. So for me, this is something what are we discussing here? I don't know how that would be fruitful to all of us, but for me, this particular exercise, reading before the actual reading session, is helping me a lot. Kind of sincerity it has put on my for
okay.
me at least. So thank you.
So in a sense, the exercise to read before the meeting is what's revealing the sleeping machine issues that the chapter is talking about.
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
Well, good. Good. So let me ask you something. We're so used to saying what we can't do or we didn't do or what we failed at. But when you finally started to read, what did it feel like while you were reading it?
I was really happy.
Really happy, right?
it was comforting to read.
It was comforting, and it kind of added meaning to life, to the
And added
otherwise.
Yeah.
meaning to life. And yet, I mean, it's 20 pages long and it's not super academic. I mean, academics would read 100 pages in a week, 200 pages, So we're just putting our toe in there. So when we read, we really love that activity. We like being engaged, we like being engaged in learning about awakening the machine and our preparation for work. And we
Yeah, and
must,
an instant connection. Like the minute I do something off the work, I feel an instant connection. I feel
you feel a what?
instant connection, like an instant connection.
When you're
Like
doing
it's always
something,
accessible. Yes.
you're doing something in the work, you feel an instant connectivity.
Yeah.
Okay. And yet, I mean, Bernie, you read the chapter a few times, right?
Yes.
How long did it take you to read through the chapter?
Read maybe 50 minutes, 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. And Nikhil, were you able to read the chapter?
In one sitting?
No.
Yeah, I read the chapter multiple times.
Okay. How long did it take you to read the chapter?
Well, I never read it in one sitting, but usually I would spend around 15 to 20 minutes reading through it because I find myself pondering upon certain paragraphs and then pausing a little bit and then just thinking about it
Let's
and
say
then
20
continuing the
minutes.
reading. Yeah,
Let's just
20
say
minutes.
20 minutes, okay? Not a bad average. During the week, the 7 days of the week, we could not find 20 minutes to read a chapter that while we're reading it, we feel comforted. Right?
Yes. Should we feel bad about it?
I don't
David,
want to feel bad about
do you
it
want
because I'm
do you
doing
want us
so
to feel guilt? Guilt?
No. Do not feel guilt.
Yes,
It's a notation.
yes.
Yes.
When I
Well,
do read it, I love it. But then for some reason, I never get around to reading it.
I would say I'd give myself the benefit of doubt. I am exercising, I am eating right, and I'm doing so much more. I'm praying, I'm doing movements, I'm doing everything. So I have to come through this feeling of doing it, doing what comforts me, irrespective of the momentary discomfort it brings.
Okay, let's study that more, what she just said. Say it again.
So I'm saying I have created a new calendar for myself wherein I have about 7 or 8 activities that I have to do on an everyday basis, right? Which include a lot of discipline, and a lot of doing things that are making you extremely discomfortable and making you squirm, but you know that when you do those things you feel better, right? So
Yeah.
I'm already haggling a lot of my time, like 2-3 hours a day at least, to do that. So I'm not feeling any remorse even.
And you work 8 hours a day, roughly, or more.
Yeah, at least 8 hours a day.
Okay.
So like yesterday I started for work at like 8 a.m. and I finished at 2:30 a.m.
Yeah. Okay.
which is a great development. I'm not saying it's it's everything, but
I'm trying to get away from the blame or good. It was, I was
I
bad.
know you're not that, David. I completely know you're not that.
I'm trying
But
to,
I am just trying to
I'm
self-absorb.
yeah, you know, these are
David,
hardworking people, okay? Yeah.
But
I know, I'm
Dave,
sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that you are saying it, but the minute you say it, the fighter in me stands up and starts beating myself up. So I am talking to that person that beats myself up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
oh,
Okay.
David,
Yes, sir.
um, what is your point? Because I assume that you have
I do.
iPod. Yes, so
I
we
do.
listen. Thank you.
And the point is that in 1 week's time, we do have 20 minutes to do something that is feeding our soul that we love. Now, I'm not taking away from the fact that you have personal disciplines that are quite intense, Alka. But in my opinion, and it's just an opinion, the sleeping machine is keeping us from that work.
No, I think what I just said was self-defense mechanism.
Okay, so I mean,
Defense mechanism of the machine.
but
Because
yeah,
David, I think what you said earlier reminded me of the example of, the baby who doesn't want to get inside the tub, but once it gets
I'm
in,
feeling like a
it doesn't want
fish
to get out.
in that thing, in that aquarium, and you know that's being pulled out.
yeah. Well, that's exactly right. You are a fish in the aquarium being pulled out of the aquarium, and we're being offered an opportunity to live a different life. Now, there's some natural momentum that comes from our essential self and the work we've done in this life and in prior lives. There's a natural momentum. The key to discovering the specific methodology of your sleeping machine, and believe me, it is remarkably clever. It's very clever.
Yeah.
Okay. And once you begin to observe it and not judge it, you go, oh my God, you're right. Every time I hear that word, this happens.
Every time I tell myself that I'm going to follow a new discipline, I find ways to make my life more difficult.
Yeah, you know, and and Elka, that's the sleeping machine keeping us bound where we are. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's protecting ourselves because it doesn't know any better. And in HBM, we actually had a chance to have compassion for the machine because, in a sense, it's helpless. Anyway, the gift of this chapter is that you can have actual evidence that your machine is asleep. Not that you are asleep, but that the machine is asleep. Isn't that the proper distinction from HBM?
Yes.
What is that, chapter 8? Yeah, I think it is. or 9. Gathering evidence. Or Redfin. No, that's chapter 9, study of the machine. And I'll read the chapter abstract. Although we are separate from the machine, we have become hypnotized, immersed in the sleeping state of the machine. One of the purposes of studying the machine is to gather evidence, which can help us define the exact nature of the sleep. We're just scientists here, gathering data. And we got these particular machines, this life, and these parents and uncles and friends and whatever. So we're just looking for one little item that we can say, my God, there it is. We become the laboratory. And that's exciting, or it can be, right?
So after reading this chapter, what I feel is, we have those gaps, right? Dora, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, the big gap. The first is small gap, and the last one is very big. And I had been telling in like the different reading groups too that I had that huge gap came in my life. And I was struggling to go back, with this chapter. Like slowly I was getting momentum, but was not enough to even start again, that I lost some way. So this chapter is like, I truly feels that this was the necessity at this point of time for my work. And if you like read those points that is given on page number 9, that says that some new unknown source of force for work will be necessary, and that if we hope to continue this work, we will require energies and will on a much larger scale than we are presently accustomed to arousing in the machine and in ourselves. So I just want to emphasize this particular point, but the chapter in itself was like, right at the moment as my requirement was. And then David ended, okay, come reading this before the class. And, that gives all that what was necessary for me to start working upon, So yeah,
So
things
let's read
comes in. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, let's go ahead and read that again, that paragraph, the one that you just emphasized. Some unknown source of force for work will be necessary. How did that work for you this week, Swati?
So this is what I personally feel so many times that, whenever an unknown source, like force, could be from the master. Like, this book came to me. I bought it somehow before reading. I did not have other books before we started reading on, but somehow this book was sitting already in my library. And for this book only, you insisted, come reading this chapter before the class would be better. So I'm like, okay, so it's some unknown force, which I know is now no one else than the master who is working on me, has already given me before I had a need for it. So that is the unknown force, right? And then when I read the chapter, I'm like, oh my goodness. And then we read as a group. That is also a source, right? Like your
Yes.
teamwork, right? Ashram, right? We call it an ashram, like institution to work as a group, right? Because somehow I am in a situation where just getting up in the 4 o'clock, even if I'm awake, I will just keep killing time on the bed instead of getting up. Then plus I had to read this chapter. I had to make an effort to get out of the bed and start reading or do something which is having some value in the life. So for me, like, it's a master or some unknown, like, higher force is pushing me that, like,
Right.
get up.
No, nowhere here does it say higher force, okay? It doesn't say the master, it says it's some unknown force. So in this case, we decided to read the chapter before the class. That's a
Definitely, yeah.
force,
That's what
right?
I'm saying. Right at the moment you said, yeah, come before like reading and get ready.
And so we will require energies and will on a much greater scale. So we can see the fact that this little group here is a much greater scale than any one of us. It's a beautiful thing, right?
Right.
And the work is very real indeed. And go down a little bit. Our time in the machine, which we could be using for a possible evolution, slips away.
Oh my goodness.
Did that happen this week?
Yeah, and like in
Okay.
I'm getting goosebumps, even when I read it first time, it gave me goosebumps, like, this is urgency, it's calling urgency, that come on.
Funny. There's a definite deadline for our work. What is that
That
deadline,
was
by the
another
way?
thing.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
So Bernie and I are sitting here going, well, what is that deadline? No one gave me that memo. So the deadline, of course, is on our deathbed, but we can work until that time. Go down. These and other realizations result from the simple experimental attempt to sense the sleep. So we have a chance to really to see that the sleep of the machine is that the machine is very real. I don't particularly like the idea that it's stronger or bigger or any of those things, just that it's there. And then you need to
What
learn
is
to deal with it. Go ahead.
so what is there? Do you mean the machine is there?
Yeah. The sleeping machine is absolutely there.
So, hey, somebody can explain, like, these concepts are very new to me. I don't know. I know in terms of the right brain and left brain. I never had these terms like encountered before, like head brain and the tail brain. And like, is there anything which is like a physical in the organic body is related to, or this is something I am not able to comprehend?
Well, I'm certain that you're able to comprehend it. The issue is our ability to explain it. Okay.
Mhm.
So my limited understanding is that there's literally a physical tail brain, that the head brain is our mental centrum. So if the mental centrum is being used to observe things, it's very slow. It can barely observe stuff. And so if you work to do real observation from a point of view of presence, eventually there's a new source of observation. We can also call it the sensing mechanism. And the brain flips, and that becomes the source of observation rather than the mental centrum. Does that make any sense, Bernie? Am I close?
Yes, very nice.
Yes.
Okay.
I think, David, that there is no um, biological reality in this tail or head brain, as Swati is asking, because not in the mood of the left brain and the right brain. That is factual thing that has been found and studied, no. But anyway, the point is that it appears to be that somehow the head brain that we consider head brain, we consider it to be the master,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it's most of us is mostly the Westerners is the where the ego lives. You know, we feel that other people find it in the plexus solar or anyway. So I I am this chapter, the end of this chapter, gave me an insight that I am
Let's go to
sorry,
the end of the chapter.
I am trying to make sense somehow that, in my case, with all the blah 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 of Gurdjieff and be awake and study, I've seen myself and many other people sleeping while they were saying, I have to be asleep, I have to be awake, blah 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 blah. No, you can say a lot of things, but probably to be awake is to be silent also. Not talking about.
Right.
But anyway, um, it it becomes to make sense. Even I read this many times, but now these days it makes sense that the when you put your attention on the movements of the mechanical body that we are, something happens, and that what happens is that the mental brainage we think it's working, or the chatter, blah blah blah, 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 blah. You are there and observing the chatter stops. I don't know if that is a very good or whatever,
The
but
chatter stops. Yeah.
the chatter stops because um, another part of the machine or whatever takes control. You are very there, uh, and I make a note in this copy, and I said adoration of the machine. You are surprised. You don't want to change anything. You are, as you said, you are a scientist seeing, separating from the machine and seeing it, and it's
Gathering data.
marvelous.
Gathering data.
Yes, yes, it's marvelous. But somehow you you come out of the usual, and something that is not the usual takes the command. That is my, as I can best explain it. Something happens, uh, and that can change across the time. At least that says in this chapter, across the time, from much time, can change things. I don't know. That is what I can say.
Beautiful.
Sorry.
Let's
Okay.
read this last paragraph. Okay.
Yes.
So, beginning with the observation of the machine's posture as a whole, as if studying a statue, focusing first on the hands, mask, torso, arms, and legs. Try to see the activities of the machine as a whole unit. For instance, observe your postures sitting at a table, writing in a notebook, walking through a cafe. Begin with the most obvious and observable postures and movements. For the moment, until you are very skilled, leave alone those delicate and subtle fluctuations.
Somehow you are arousing. It's a kind of invocation that you are doing in that moment. No, your invocation presence. You're there. The mechanic of the everyday activity there is marvelous because the machine can work by itself without anyone there.
Right.
But you find it, and as you say, it's a very good companion. It's very useful. But who is in charge? No? Uh, is there anyone? You know when they say the la loca, la loca de la casa. Is there anyone there? You know, it's la loca, el loco de la casa. But I think it's a very good exercise, and I must say that I tried earnestly as I could to to experience that, and it's very interesting. But when you forget it and remind yourself. You forget it, remind yourself, and sometimes say, "Oh, let's sleep once and for all, and leave me alone."
So,
You
yeah,
know,
let's,
I remember, sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
So, I remember watching this movie on Gurdjieff. I don't remember In Search of Miraculous. And in it, it had various videos of people uh, engaged in movements exercises in I think different schools in Europe. And I was just examining the dances that they are doing, and it's very delicate hand movements that they are not just doing, but they're paying attention to it as if it's just a dot of the Attentionizer exercise.
Yeah.
So that exercise is kind of actively placing the attention to the motor centrum of the machine, which is what this chapter is talking about pretty much. This chapter has a lot of information about what it is that it is trying to describe, but what Bernie explained to us pretty much summarizes it for me, where we have to place our attention on the motor centrum of the machine
Well, that's what it
so
says,
that
right?
it,
What does it say right here?
right.
Tell me what it says. Don't read it. Tell me what it says in your words.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
On the last paragraph?
yeah.
So I think it's talking about uh, basically placing your attention on the machine, on the motor centrum of the machine, and observing it as uh, a scientist would observe any other external object.
Do you have in your classwork, do you have labs yet? Are you doing experimentations? Or is it
Mhm.
just all theory?
It's there's experimentations.
Yeah. And so when you're doing the experimentations, do you like you have something set up and then like you change the voltage or the speed or the frequency, right?
Mhm.
And what are you doing? You're sitting there watching it, right?
Well, most of the time I'm asleep.
Don't go there, man. That's buffering. Okay. That's buffering. I mean, literally, you're spending a great deal of energy to focus on studying the effects of these changes, whatever your goal is in the experiment,
Correct.
magnets, whatever, right? And you're watching
Mhm.
it in enormous detail, right?
Yes.
You're a scientist studying data, studying activity, and recording data. What EJ is saying here is use the same headset. Now study your physical body. He's not saying to do anything subtle or different here. For instance, observe your posture sitting at a table. When you go to class tomorrow morning, Nikhil, will you sit at a desk?
Mm-hmm.
So isn't that like just an enormously interesting activity? Do you always sit at the same
Yes.
desk, by the way, or
No.
okay?
Whatever's available.
Okay. So you walk into the room, the classroom, and first thing you're doing is your brain is going like this, and you're trying to find a seat, right?
Yeah.
You're scanning. So, and then you you hone in on a particular chair, and then you walk to the chair, and then you sit. And all EJ is saying is observe yourself sitting at a table or at a desk. It's a symphony of movements. Your mental centrum is, yeah, I know what I mean. I just sit there. Oh, really? Or writing in a notebook. Like Alka is studying her clients, correct? The guy that kept her up at 2 a.m. in the
Not
morning.
judging them.
And the guy just couldn't get the idea, could he? Just couldn't get it. And they tried and they tried and they tried. Well, she was taking notes or walking through a cafe.
But I think I'm sorry, by maybe derailing the conversation. I feel that people don't really want to do good work. They just don't want to do it. They would
Okay.
spend hours protecting themselves, doing the blame game.
You got it. You're like you're on a fulcrum of knowledge right there. It's more important to spend enormous amounts of energy protecting, but and this is why this is so powerful, because if you penetrate one thing, it's like you're shouting to the machine, I see you now.
Yes. Veil.
You go to sit down in your chair in the classroom, and you're basically trying to hide from everybody so they don't notice you, right? And you can just kind of, and you sit down and you got your papers out and you're going like this. That's like a whole symphony of movements. Don't judge it. Don't change it. Watch it. That's the thing that's so beautiful. And now you've penetrated one of the walls of sleep. As Elka is saying, we'd rather spend all this energy, right? She's right. You spend an enormous energy. This exercise is so stupid, so simple. Why should I even do it? I mean, this crackpot. First of all, the chapter is kind of weird, and then this crackpot is saying, "Watch how I sit down." That's I'm ready for the big ideas. I'm ready for real esoteric. Give me that.
Get me enlightenment right now.
Yeah, come on. Where's the pill?
So,
pill-
so one thing is like,
Swati.
yeah, when we talk about like, say we are expecting some big thing. So I noticed, like, myself that we are so asleep, like especially me, like say I'm going out, right? Just right sitting in the car. Oh, did I lock my door? You see, like, I locked the door, but I'm so sleep. Machine is so much into the sleep, I cannot remember. So I put an alarm there that when I'm going out, especially, I will make sure that I remember when I turn off the stove or check the stove, check the back door latch, the front door. And, when I get out, I will never turn back and see if I have locked the car or not. When I will lock the car, I will remember myself locking the car. Small things, but we are so asleep, like, we
Yeah.
have to double check.
Do you
So,
have one of those cars where you click the button and it locks?
yeah.
Okay. So I found an incredibly good exercise is to be awake to the fact that you're actually locking the car because maybe you're going to be late or you have to hurry up or someone's there or something like that. That you're conscious of the fact you push the button.
Yeah, so that's what so see, when we go out, then I always have a habit. Maybe my mother and my grandmother, they always even had that double checking thing. So when I double check that time as a part of a work on the self, I realize that I should not get, like, to know, like, second time. I should remember myself at the very first time when actually I'm doing it. I'm doing that, but I am not aware, so I have to go and double check. You getting? So same
Yeah.
exact thing you're saying, like, we are locking. I would have 110% locked the car, but then I have to double check. That should not, if I'm awake right at the first moment, I should not be, like, it should not require me to go and double check. So yeah, I'm taking this one as exercise. Every Thursdays I
Good.
have to go office. So those 3, 4 things I try to remember when I do it first time.
So you're getting ready to go to the office, you rush to the car, you get in the car, drive, you get to the office. Oh my God, I'm late again. And then you're running to it and somehow you lock the car. And then you're sitting at your desk and you're going, did I lock the car?
Yeah.
So you work, but so think about that. What if that moment of pushing the button of the locking mechanism, you you're fully engaged? How does my hand work? How am I holding the damn thing, right? And so I'm holding like this and I'm pointing at the car, or most of these you don't really need to point it at the car, but you do. And then you hear the noise or whatever it is, the beep, but you like cherish that moment. We're talking about a few seconds, right?
Yes.
What if you just cherish that moment and you watch the machine do its thing and like it might be ready to push you to hurry up to run into the office. So that's a good one. You're now declaring your exercise for the coming week.
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to
You
roll
know,
the dice?
yeah, so for me, I've been thinking about this for like the last 5 or 10 minutes. This week, I'm going to be going to a lot of classes, and whenever there's a lot of people around, I find that my sleep is more deep, or I'm more identified with the sleep of the machine. So I'm going to be using
Yeah.
those moments to observe myself, observe everything, and I'll see what happens.
Yeah, but this is suggesting observe. So the concept of I go into the class and my machine is more asleep. That's a generality. How about I go into the class and I walk toward my desk? That's it. Then how do you get to the desk? How do you sit down? What are your hands doing? What are you doing with your backpack? Or, whatever it is. But just take a small slice of it, Nikhil, and watch it and cherish that moment. Just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
David, we are finishing our time, no? 2 points
Yes.
we'd like to share because it has to do with the last things we have been talking about. There is almost in the last paragraph, it says, tension is only measurable on comparison to relaxation. So I think that is a very important
Good.
point because you can measure that only the tension only when there is the opposite or some kind, no?
Nice.
And I think there is an intermediate state that could be attention without tension. No, I think that is something that comes.
Attention without
Attention without tension.
Beautiful.
You're not forcing, no, anything. You're observing, no. But that is one thing I want to say. And the other thing, it's interesting to me because when we started this meeting, now it's Nishant here, wasn't there? When we started this meeting, you said that this was not going very well because we didn't have the mechanics that we had on the before on the presence book, that we read. The thing is that an hour passed and we have worked it. I don't know, good or bad. We have worked it around. But I ask you, what, if ever, what will be the mechanic from next meeting?
So what we do in the next meeting, we are now scientists going out. Swati's she's going to be observing a specific thing. Maybe Nikhil is going to find something. I'm going to declare what I'm going to observe is how I make coffee. I use this little thing and it's kind of complicated.
I was thinking, group will decide anyway, but I bring that we, for the next time, we continue in this chapter and each of us could bring a paragraph or a line, or whatever, that strikes them, each of us, strong, and discuss it here by turn, no? Anyway, that's my point of view, no? Because we need some mechanic, that makes sense, because we come here to study. Unless we are trying to be here in the here and now all the time, but it's not very easy. But anyway, my plan is to read again this week and select one or two things that I feel strongly and share them with you, all you, and ask for your opinion or sense or experience. That is what I wanted to share.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
There is one point I want to make. I'm not sure if everybody, but I just want to suggest one thing that Nishant and Alka might be knowing about the ATR that Mr. Tavaria has given, the attentive tension and relaxation that we do usually every day before doing refining exercises. So in
You do.
relation to what was Bernie talking about, the second last paragraph, attentive tension and relaxations into the this is for the organic body, but simultaneously so we can discuss that one if everybody likes to.
Yeah,
Do you
please.
think that can fit here, Alka?
Yeah, anything can fit here.
Okay.
Swati.
Yeah, there is a very good
Yeah.
exercise that Mr. T has given, and I have been practicing since last almost 20 years, more than 20 years.
Is this Tavaria?
Yeah, Mr. Tavaria, yeah.
Yes.
I downloaded his book on the sutras of
Patanjali.
Patanjali.
Patanjali's, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you
And
type Swati that in the chat so I can have a
Yes.
name,
put
please?
the website of the whatever it is, 3SRO.
SN Tavaria.
3SRB. Yeah,
Yeah.
Because
Mr.
I
then
think
that
it's in the chat.
website,
There you go.
there's like 50 books that you can download. Okay. And I had to stop myself.
That is true.
RB. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
I
you
enjoyed
all.
this.
So
I
let's
enjoyed this meeting.
I enjoyed that too. I think
Yeah.
I'm liking this idea to come prepared and
So
discuss more things.
other than Bernie, other than what Bernie described, let's also work on the exercises and discuss how that went next week.
Okay.
I'm going to do my exercises more mindfully. Like I'll observe my exercises, the ones that I already have in my schedule.
Okay. Okay.
That's a good plan.
So when you're doing your physical workout, you're going to observe that. Okay.
The physical workout, I'm specifically my breathing exercises.
Okay. Whatever it is.
You can do 3SRB and observe the 3SRB process.
Yeah, I meant the refining exercises. Yeah.
Refining exercises.
But anyway,
Yes.
3SRB is itself for the attention, right? 10% and dividing it to 80-20 or
Yes.
90-10. So in itself is a good exercise. So yeah, we can do that
That's
too.
exactly right, Swati. So
All right.
can you
one little more thing. At least for me, it's a reminder. You know the title of that book, very renowned. It says "Be Here Now." I know who said puts another word on it. It says "Be here now more." But I find it interesting. Be here now more.
So
Thank
Rudy Darby, who's a very big part of the community, he said this book, it'd be better used if we called it Practical Work on Others.
David, you're terrible.
That's,
You're
I like it. So
terrible.
Alka,
Alka has some art that she.
Here
Oh,
more.
wow.
Yes, be here more.
beautiful.
Yes.
So
Be here.
can you give me a number between 1 and 17?
17.
Okay. She had to think, gosh, I hope I get it right. That's mechanicality, okay? So number 17 this is from the very important high list that was given to us called Excuses for Not Doing It. Number 17 is, I didn't realize you said to actually start.
That's
My
true.
daughter do everything every day that
At
to
never
me.
at never point you said start. That's true.
Exactly. See?
So you are to blame.
So I'll share those gems every week, one a week. And
Yes.
so we're going to get really proficient in our excuses. Anyway, it's a delight working
All
with
right.
every single one of you. And it's just more fun. I have so much fun with this. And I just love the humor of watching my mechanical machine do weird things. I'll look forward to seeing everybody
All
next.
right. See you
Bye.
guys.
Thank